Hey guys, hope you're all doing well. I'm JT. Welcome to the first episode of Alpha Reviews. And what better way to kick it off than with a brand new Star Wars movie? By the way, guys, this review contains many major spoilers for the movie. If you've already seen the movie or have no intention of watching it, you're in the clear. Otherwise, go see the movie and come back here ASAP. These kinds of movies are tricky to review as everyone has different needs and expectations, so here's how I'm going to break it down. Also, I did my best to make this before the internet told me how I need to feel about the movie, whether good or bad. So, you're getting that genuine first reaction. I'm going to rate it on 6 different categories: visuals, action, music, pacing, story, and a bonus for the funny factor. I'm going to rate it first based on my initial reaction, aka when I left the theater, how was I feeling? Was it worth the ticket price and my time? And then I'll rate it on how rewatchable I think it will be for years to come, and then give it a final score. Final spoilers warning. Leave now if you don't want to see spoilers. Do it. Okay, so to very quickly summarize, Kylo finds out that Palpatine is still alive, and Palpatine created Snoke to lure Kylo to the dark side. Palpatine has been secretly amassing a huge army all these years to eventually reinforce the First Order and obliterate the rest of the Resistance and finally take full command. Long story short, Rey and the gang have to find a Sith artifact containing Palpatine's location, which is on Exegol, so they can get to Palpatine before he unleashes his army on the universe. Plot established. First off, we'll start with the visuals. I don't think it's a surprise to anyone that this movie was stunning visually. There were too many awesome visuals to count. Exegol looks so epic and creepy with the lightning and fog and the destroyers ominously floating in silence. It's really a foreboding imagery. The floating iceberg planet, the chase scenes on Pisana with the smoke and explosions, and the jetpacks, that was all pretty marvelous. And of course, the final battle between the Resistance and their helpers above Exegol was just pure sci-fi action bliss. There are many more than those, but in the interest of keeping it brief, I give the visuals a 9 out of 10. Second, let's talk action. This is something that pleased me in this movie a lot more than The Last Jedi. There were actual lightsaber fights, and there was constant action throughout the entire movie. Kylo versus Rey on the Death Star ruins, awesome. I loved seeing a more liberal use of the Force on both sides, too. I don't think we've ever seen grand-scale usage of the Force, like when Rey stops that ship with the Force and then accidentally destroys it with lightning, which, by the way, holy crap, that was unexpected. I all thought Chewie was going to die. We've never seen that in a movie before, as far as I know. In my memory, we've only seen stuff like that in the games. Rey jumping over Kylo's fighter in the desert and slicing the wing off it, that was super cool. Kylo's anger and rage in the beginning gave us some awesome slaughterfests, and then it was also really enjoyable watching him fight as Ben Solo. I think it was a lot more enjoyable watching Rey be totally OP, knowing that she's a Palpatine. Makes it a lot more believable. Her fights with Kylo, they were a lot better than the previous 2 movies, and them working together in the end was also really cool fighting as well. The action was pretty great and pretty consistent throughout the movie, so I give it a 8.5 out of 10. Third, we've got music. John Williams is a legend, and this movie continues to show it. The music paid careful attention to detail and brought about so many feels. Like when Leia dies, it's slowly playing her theme, then it so beautifully transitions into Kylo's theme as he feels her go. And also, Kylo's theme changes to an ever so slightly brighter version when he becomes Ben. When Rey goes back to Tatooine and slides down the hill, like in her scavenger days, you hear that same theme from The Force Awakens. Then, of course, the main theme when she's looking at the binary sunset, blends of old music, like hearing Vader's theme in reference to him a few times. Just the way that it all blended together so smoothly, and it gave me a lot of adrenaline. It was awesome. I give the music a 9 out of 10. Next up, we've got pacing. This is the first category that I wasn't totally pleased with. Within the first 10 minutes of the movie, the main plot of the Emperor and his fleet is established. It's insanely quick. I feel like I would have rather had the movie be about 45 minutes longer, or even make another one to make this transition less sudden. We've seen 3-hour movies in the past, and it was fine. It felt quite forced. However, one of the benefits of this is that it quickly undid, in a way, many of the disliked plot elements of The Last Jedi. The middle of the movie's pacing as they try to hunt down and decrypt the artifact is fine. There were some scenes where it was ridiculous how fast we went from one person being captured to being rescued, etc., etc. And then again, with the ending sequence, it felt very rushed to me. I give the pacing a 5 out of 10. Maybe I just didn't like how quickly someone like the Emperor was defeated. Okay, so here's the big one. The story. Man, so many feelings with the story. I can definitely say that it wasn't what I expected. The question is that a good or a bad thing? I think the idea that Palpatine was pulling the strings all along is very believable and cool. He is, after all, the biggest, baddest Sith ever. However, we didn't get detailed explanations as to how he was able to sustain himself, other than like dark magic or whatever, and how he was able to just amass an enormous army of destroyers. Trying to ignore how convenient that is, I like the story having Palpatine as the final baddie. Rey and the gang going on an adventure to find and decrypt the artifacts so they can find him? I liked it. It wasn't amazing, but it was enjoyable, though. I loved seeing Lando in there, man. Who doesn't love Lando? Watching Rey wrestle with the fact that she's a Palpatine throughout the movie and see visions of herself as a Sith was really cool. And I was actually pretty open to the idea of her going full bad and Kylo having to take her down as he becomes a true Skywalker. So I was a bit disappointed that that didn't happen, but it kind of did. Questioning if she would go bad or not was a nice plot element that kept me guessing. It was so cool when Han Solo showed up to talk to Kylo one last time. That scene was perfectly mirroring the scene where Kylo killed Han and the final push Kylo needed to become Ben, then casting his lightsaber out into the water. I can't think of a better way to have Kylo turn good, and I absolutely loved it. The idea of all the Sith being within Palpatine and all of the Jedi being within Rey was kind of cool, but maybe not my favorite way to wrap up the final battle. However, I loved when Rey defended herself from Palpatine's lightning with the two Skywalker sabers, Luke and Leia. That was awesome. A scene right around there that gave me so many feels was listening to all the previous Jedi tell Rey to rise. That was epic, and I can't imagine there's anyone out there who didn't like that. I didn't like that Ben died, but I think thematically it is super appropriate. Like Luke and Obi-Wan, Ben transitioned into the Force after one final major act of selflessness. I also definitely did not like them kissing. It did not feel right to me at all. It felt forced. It was just strange. I loved seeing Rey go back to Tatooine to bury Luke and Leia's lightsabers with the binary sunset in the background and Luke and Leia's Force ghosts watching. That was awesome for me. Just great feels. Overall, the story was fine. I liked the conclusion, but it wasn't the most compelling story I've ever heard. But I was thankful for a handful of solid twists and unexpected events. I give the story a 6.5 out of 10. Okay, can we all admit that this movie was a lot funnier than we expected? I thought the humor was a lot better than the humor in the previous two, and C-3PO stole the show in that regard. I love when they all fall through the quicksand or whatever, which, by the way, let's be honest again, was just a quick filler scene to establish for those who weren't caught up in The Mandalorian that the Force can be used to heal. And I think it was Poe that says, "Rey, Finn, you guys okay?" And 3PO is like, "You didn't say my name, but I'm okay." So good. And then in the same scene, they like need some light, and there's this epic music while Rey ignites her super cool lightsaber, and then Poe just like bops on his flashlight next to her. That was great. I also thought it was funny. I liked Hux being a spy and the reveal of that. I always liked his character even when he was bad. The new little droid, I don't remember his name, but the little guy with the one wheel, he was super funny. And I also liked that creature who wiped out 3PO's memory. He was really funny. Poe and Finn, their chemistry and comedy has evolved them into a pretty great comedic bro duo. By the way, I had heard before the movie that there was a gay kiss in it, and up until the end, I thought it might have been them, which would have been so weird considering how bro-y they are. There were plenty of laugh-out-loud moments, and I really appreciated that as a tension alleviator. So I give the humor a solid 8 out of 10. One thing I forgot to mention, guys, while I definitely liked the movie overall, there were plenty of moments that were painfully cheesy and or cringy. Sorry that I don't remember them all. Here are some. I thought that the opening scene with Palpatine and the flashing lights was far too much. Took me out of it for a bit. Seemed like a cheesy horror movie. I also didn't like that they're not on speeders moment where they all burst out on the space horses. The Force tug of war Rey and Kylo had with the transporter went on too long and it got awkward. But it was super sick when Rey accidentally destroyed it with Force lightning. So let's get to wrapping things up here. I am a firm believer that if you left the theater feeling entertained, then the movie was worth the price of admission. After all, the purpose of movies is to entertain us. There is no doubt in my mind that I left this movie feeling entertained. I think the visuals and action alone made it so. It was worth the price of admission. I can already tell that people are going to be split on the ending. Personally, I had no problem with it. I liked that ultimately the Jedi triumphed over the Sith and Luke and Leia had a great send-off. I can agree with some who say they wish to see more in regards to the Jedi Order, But will a Jedi Order even be needed with the Sith wiped out? If Palpatine is to be believed, he created them all and pulled all the strings. If so, there's no need for more Jedi. But who knows? Maybe he was exaggerating or flat out lying. Maybe we need the Jedi for other things. I'm not sure where I land on the whole fulfillment thing. Right now, I'm pretty satisfied, I think. And I think for sure the movie will be plenty rewatchable. But only time will tell if I'm truly happy with the ending. Maybe I'll give you guys an update a year or two down the road. In conclusion, all of these things said, I give the movie a 7.5 out of 10. I thought it was pretty good, but not amazing. Some people weigh things more than others. I put a lot of weight on entertainment, and I think it was entertaining enough to overcome a lot of its shortcomings in pacing and plot. The biggest thing was that, unlike The Last Jedi, at no point of the movie was I thinking, okay, this whole scene is stupid and pointless, and I don't like it. I was entertained for every minute, no doubt. I don't know about you guys, but I'm ready for a brand new saga. Thank God we have The Mandalorian to keep us entertained in the meantime. Thanks for watching the video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. See you next time.